Hey, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're at. This is Ron Babich at Hard Dollar. Thanks for joining us for today's Lasso Project Intelligence Launch Overview. We'll go ahead and get started in just a couple minutes at the top of the hour. We appreciate you taking a few minutes with us today to join the presentation. We'll have a copy of the presentation available at the end so that you can download it later and view it at your leisure, along with, I think, the slide presentation that does a nice job of overviewing what the value prop is and how everything works together. So stay tuned, a couple minutes to go, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks again for being here today and joining us for the Lasso Project Intelligence Overview.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Lasso product launch. We are very excited to share Hard Dollar's newest cloud-based software, Lasso Project Intelligence. And today we'll share how Lasso provides instant data exchange and transparency at the project and portfolio level on all critical project data among internal and external stakeholders in multiple systems of record. During the webinar, we will have all the lines on mute, and we do encourage you to submit all your questions through the question dialog box in GoToWebinar. At the end of the session, we'll go through those questions and allow Tim to answer those for you. Today's presenters will be Ron Babich, Vice President of Sales and Marketing, Brad Barth, Vice President of Industry Solutions, and Tim Moore, Senior Product Manager. Brad will begin shortly. Ron. I'm sorry, actually we're going to start with Ron. So Ron, turn it over to you.
That's very kind of you. Thank you for being so modest as well. So no, thanks Stephanie. So I really appreciate that. I'm sitting here across from me is Brad Barth, and then Tim Moore. We're going to kick it off, and I'm going to just turn it over to Brad.
All right, thanks Ron. So we are going to go through Lasso today. This is a new product from Hard Dollar that we've been working on for really about 2 years now, and we'll talk a little bit about what we've done in that time frame and where we've spent a lot of our effort to really create something exciting and unique for our industry, which is really anybody that's involved in working on engineering and construction projects, capital projects, maintenance projects. And this product you're going to see is really focused around reporting. So as we talk to customers, and we've obviously been in the industry for 20+ years, and one of the things that is universal is the reporting requirements, whether it's requirements placed on the contractor from the owner, whether it's requirements placed on the owner from internal stakeholders, government compliance, you name it, all the folks involved in projects are typically dealing with the issue, which is how do we get the cost of reporting down? So we've done a lot of surveys. We've had a lot of customers complete a survey that we've been doing. And in talking with our customers face-to-face, we always ask this question. And the answer that we get in terms of how much of your costs, on a typical project are related to reporting, usually, we've seen answers anywhere from 2% to 10%. We've seen as high as 10% of the overall cost of a project is related to reporting. And that is everything from gathering the data, analyzing the data, formatting it, sending it back and forth, and then redoing that when it's not exactly what you wanted. So, there's a huge opportunity here. If we think about 5% of project value, let's say for a company that's doing $100 million worth of work, we're talking about $5 million of opportunity to cut those costs. We believe Lasso conservatively can cut those costs by conservatively 20%. Okay, so in that same example, we're talking about $1 million in value that we can drive to a customer on the low end.
And if you couple that with the fact that only 23% of all projects finish under budget, staying on task here, we're throwing a lot of percentages and numbers this morning so that your head's filled with numbers. But if only 23% of all projects finish under budget, that's a huge opportunity to couple the 77% improvement to plan versus actual cost and do a much better job reporting on it. So today we're going to identify a lot of those opportunities in specific areas that we can hone in on.
So Lasso is really geared towards all the parties involved in a project. We talk about owners, engineering firms, construction managers, and of course contractors. And obviously all of those parties are, have a need for the information. They have their own views on what's important to them to track projects, track status, track variances. And so Lasso is really created to make that exchange easy and really to facilitate the ability with the same data, the same data set, let's say, all of these different parties can have views into that data that are appropriate for them and that are secured and make sense to them. So an owner, for example, may not need to see all the detail that a contractor sees, whereas a contractor needs to see a tremendous amount of detail. So Lasso is really created to provide these online project portals that allow all these different parties access to the level that makes sense for them. Now, that exchange that we talked about between those different parties in the project goes externally and it also goes internally. So one of the things that we were very keen on doing with this product was to make sure that it was easy to add people into the tool. So you'll see that everything from the pricing model to the tool itself encourages folks to add new people into these project portals. So if I'm a contractor and I've got some dashboards set up, I create a view of that I think is appropriate for my owners or my customers, let's say. I can just invite them, as long as I know their email address, invite them to look into that view, and they can get right to it online. Same process if I wanted to have my own employees join into that portal. All I need to do is put their email address in and send them an invite. We'll talk more about that as we go.
There's a couple things that stick out right away, and that's what is it that's really driving the need for it to begin with. And collaboration is really at the top of the list. While most of these things are really shared by both parties, on the owner side, the demand for greater visibility, and we're talking about detailed visibility and high-level visibility as well, diving much deeper than just an account code level or a summary level, but really understanding what true production is on a daily, weekly basis. Getting it timely on the owner side as well, too, so that we're not waiting around, again, for 6, 8 weeks after something happens, but getting it much earlier. And then the third reason there would be accurate information, really understanding it from the horse's mouth, if you will, getting it directly from the job site, presenting the data on a timely manner again. On the contractor side, much, much, much more realization in terms of how profits not are actually taking place, but how we're going to predict profitability because we understand the data a lot more. From a risk perspective, the same thing there, to really understanding identification of individual items on risk. And then the last one is really competitive advantage, which is a huge piece of this. Being able to go to an owner, go to an EPCM, or if you're an EPCM, an owner, and have a system in place that allows key data points to have alerts, to have detailed, timely status on what those activities are presented on a regular basis without creating extra work. And I think that's the key here.
So how do we make that possible? We, have done a lot of work over the last couple of years, as I mentioned, to really take what is known in the industry as business intelligence, and from that we've created what we call project intelligence. So we're going from BI on the left to PI on the right. As we talk about business intelligence, I'm sure most of you out there are familiar with that term in one way or another. But in general, the business intelligence solutions that are out there generally are very large. They're very difficult and timely and expensive to stand up and get ready, and that's because they're really generic systems. You can almost use the analogy of Excel. Excel, is ready to go out of the box, but it's not specifically tuned for any particular purpose. So if you've ever set up Excel spreadsheets, you've taken a lot of time over the years probably to get those spreadsheets the way you want them. When you talk about business intelligence, it's the same notion, but it's much more difficult, and it requires a specialized skill set to do it. So you're standing up, a software application, then you're making that specific to your industry in terms of we've got to create a database that makes sense, a model that makes sense for construction type projects. Then we've got to go create all of our dashboards, our graphs, our views. And that's before we even start thinking about how are we going to run this thing, what kind of hardware are we going to put up, how are we going to access it via the internet. So there's a very complex process to get a typical business intelligence solution stood up and ready to go. And if you look at the industry data, generally those solutions are north of $1 million to get implemented. On the other hand, with project intelligence, what we've done is we've taken those same principles and created project-specific version of that. So we have the data model already set up. Our unified cost control warehouse is a time-phased, construction-focused, project-focused data model. Everything is time-phased. All the terms are in place already, and all of the graphs and templates and reports that we have set up are ready to go. So work-in-progress reports, earned value reports, variance reports, they're all set to go, and this is ready to use from the cloud on day one. So, compared on the left, a lot of work, a lot of consultants, typically $1 million plus to get going by the time it's all said and done. On the right, you can get started with Lasso on a small project, literally for $300 a month, and go up from there if you want to make an enterprise solution out of it. Very easy to get started, very easy to grow into.
So to kind of extend that, so why Lasso PI over BI? Really, the key here is the project insight to connect project members and the simplicity to get there. And there's really 4 key areas, and these starting with the first one here. So known descriptions, whether we're talking about cash flow or original budget or current budget, the current estimate, labor, material, equipment, forecast data. When we're looking at building out these reports, it is the data that we know, it is the familiar terms that we're aware of, and we're not asking anyone to be a database programmer. It's terminology that you're already aware of. They're these known descriptions. Second part is, and Brett mentioned this just a second ago, it's really the industry sauce. There are already 21 earned value reports built right into the system, so you're not reinventing the wheel. It is very project-centric. It's not about Tupperware or travel. It's about projects. The third one is really the simple creation, the drag, drop, done mentality of being able to just drag and drop those fields over, create the reports, and it's done. And then the last one is really the easy connection, that it's not mandating that you're connected to a system, even like Hard Dollar. Lasso, on the vision of Lasso and the Lasso product itself, is the enablement of not having to connect to a specific estimating system or a specific field data collection system or a specific finance system. So the flexibility to easily connect to any one of those systems and truly connect the systems of record together, those 4 benefits are really kind of the key benefits that make it simple and have that drive that distinctive competency over traditional BI. So how do we get there? 3 steps to elevate it, and we're going to just go specifically here just for a second over project intelligence. Step number 1 on the next one is simplify collaboration between the owner and the contractor. What are we going to do with this once we get it in? Well, we're going to most certainly leverage detailed activity with all of the filtered views so that we might be reporting at an activity that might have 26 levels underneath of it, but I only want to report one, for example, because of the type of contract that I have with the owner. So whether I'm in a time and material contract or I'm a lump sum contract, a fixed rate contract, it doesn't matter. Lasso gives me the flexibility to report the data at the level that I want to report to, again, without creating extra work and rolling it up the way it needs to be presented in a great, timely manner. Step number 2, how I'm going to really use this comes into the timing thing I just mentioned, which is daily, weekly reality versus the post-month end summary. So here I'm viewing field data that's daily, that's weekly, proactively manage risk rather than waiting for something to happen, and looking at specific areas internally while I'm reporting externally in a different format, in another way. And again, going against the grain on the tradition with monthly PDF reports 3 weeks after month end with quantitative information that I'm giving to the owner on a regular basis. Information that includes things we couldn't get before, like unit of production, reporting by area, reporting by geo, reporting by the discipline, and really understanding, more importantly, driving down below account code so that we're looking at true cost performance and true schedule performance at that level. And then the last one is history, which is the oversight and the Zen for everybody to use, but it really enables you to not only look at what our as-builts are at and our forecasts are at, but taking a backward look on production, taking a backward look on cost, what happened there in that area at that location. We may have done this 100 times in Florida, but what happened when we did it in Zimbabwe? Do we have the same production rates that we had there that we have here? So making that distinction, not only by geographic area, but also making that distinction by when it happened as well, too. Because maybe we're just not as productive as we used to be, or maybe in the last 10 years it's the same as it always has been. And then sharing that with the EPCMs, the owners, the contractors, so they validate assumptions and give us credibility and confidence that we're the right people to do the work. So how does it work in terms of how does it simplify information from multiple sources? I kind of mentioned this on that 4-way slide of giving kind of a disparity between those different systems and connecting it to, but it really simplifies access to industry standard data sources because it doesn't tie you into a single estimating system or a single field data system. Those connectors allow us to connect to the ERP system of Oracle, SAP, Timberline, JD Edwards. Regardless of what the data source is, the connection's there to connect and create one unified view of all those systems of record. So why can't projects survive without it? Well, even if the information is there, and this is one of those ones that we sometimes don't talk about, not that it's the elephant in the room, but it's not simple. Because who's got the time to go looking for it? I mean, if I've got field supervisors and superintendents that are out in the field, I'm not going to ask them to go sifting through not only just paper reports, but even electronic reports, even to electronic access of data. It's not fair, and it's way time-consuming to do that. We're talking about not only being able to present data and view it, but also give exceptions to when things go wrong and present that data so that it's not a search and hunt exercise, but it's more of, hey, I'm going to spend 10 seconds today viewing what was pushed to me rather than I'm going to go on a seek and destroy mission trying to find the information I'm looking for. Second one is, and this kind of goes into the third as well, is what am I looking for again? You know, as we have turnover within the organization and we have different crews and different people that are on staff, I'm retraining people what to look for. Lasso presents the data in a way where I'm making it easy for you to see what you need to see because we've already made some of the hard decisions for you. However, with the flexibility that if this is not exactly what you'd like to see, Lasso has a huge amount of flexibility going back to the ease of use to say, hey, go ahead and drag and drop the column that's important to you over, and you'll get exactly what you want, allowing that person to do it themselves as well, too, which is pretty neat. And then the third one is how do I train the new people? Again, creating a process that kind of brings conformity from a project perspective so everybody's on the same page.
So once you get into the Lasso product, which we will get into here in just a minute, you're going to see that there's a few steps that are built into the tool that lead you through using the application successfully. The first part is actually making the connection to your data source. Lasso does come with a connector, as we call it, that plugs right into hard dollar. So if you're a hard dollar customer and you're using hard dollar for estimating and project controls, you can connect Lasso right to that. And that includes any tools that already connect to hard dollar. So if you're using JD Edwards or SAP or Primavera that connect into hard dollar already, all of that relevant information flows into Lasso. As Ron mentioned, we are also in the process of creating other connectors, both through Hard Dollar and through our channel partners, through our strategic partners. And we're creating connectors for really all of the popular data sources that are used out there in construction, whether it's other estimating systems, financial systems, scheduling systems, and Excel. So you can map directly to those sources and match that data up however you like into reports, graphs, dashboards. This is probably the biggest focus area for us in terms of differentiating between project intelligence and business intelligence. We absolutely wanted to make sure that anybody that needs to create a report, that needs to create a chart or a dashboard, can do that without requiring any technical expertise, without requiring help from IT, getting stuck in the queue. We've all been there. We need IT to do something for us, and it just takes a month, and then it takes another month, and then we give up. Then we do it in Excel, or we figure out some way to get it done the hard way. So you're going to see when we get into the tool here that it's very easy to create reports and dashboards. We phrase it as drag, drop, done, and really our goal was so that the foreman or superintendent or anybody without technical background or expertise can create a view, create a report, create a dashboard, all right from their device, no matter where they are. Now, I mentioned that we have, out of the box, we have 20-plus report and graph dashboard templates. Those come with Lasso free out of the box. They're geared towards the industries that we serve, really any kind of engineering and construction projects, whether they're capital, maintenance. So our report and graph templates, as I mentioned, things like earned value, work in progress, variance reports, earned versus burned reports. Those types of things are already set up for you, so you can leverage those things from the marketplace. Now, over time, we at Hard Dollar, as well as our partners, as well as really anybody in the industry, is going to have the opportunity to add content into this marketplace. Similar to the App Store or other marketplaces that are out there now, you'll see that marketplace grow over time, and it'll contain industry-specific templates and dashboards and report layouts that will either be for free or for a fee, depending on the creator and the value of that content. But in either case, it gives the end user a huge head start. You don't have to go create all that stuff from scratch. Once you have your report set up, whether you created it yourself through drag, drop, done, or whether you pulled it in from the marketplace, now all you need to do is invite your employees, your customers, your partners in to see your views. So as your project moves along and the data gets updated, your reports, graphs, dashboards are going to be updated in a live, real-time basis, and everybody that you've invited to join that portfolio are going to have real-time access to that information. Now, one of the biggest concerns as we talk to people in the industry is, well, how do we control what, my internal folks maybe need to see things in more detail when we show the results to our customers. They don't want all that detail. It just gets in the way, so we need to summarize it. And that's why you can create different views for different people, different portals, if you will, for different audiences, and you can control the security level. Another great thing about this, we've talked about it in terms of these people, whether they're on the owner side, the contractor side, the EPCM side, going to the site and getting the information. Well, you can also have the information go to you. You can schedule reports and dashboards to be sent to you on your mobile device, on your smartphone, on your tablet, just in case you were looking for more justification to go out and buy that new iPad. Right? So now we've got another reason to take that dashboard onto your laptop, onto your tablet, onto your smartphone. Now we've got live information that is coming to you wherever you are, and you can stay up to date in real time and see how are we doing on these projects. Do we have any issues that we need to be concerned about? So we did some before and after views here as we worked with some of our early customers. One of them was looking at how do we create reports before Lasso. So if you've used something like SQL reporting services or other report writing tools, you've probably seen code that looks like this, where we're writing queries, we're writing SQL statements, and this assumes we've already created a database somewhere. But the creation of the reports, especially the more complex reports, anything that's time phased and gets into some pretty elaborate math, you end up writing code to create the report. And that obviously limits the number of people who can do it in an organization. So our goal was to replace all this stuff with what we call drag, drop, done. So we show you over on the left all of your data, and you can see it's organized in a way that makes sense. It's English. You see here over to the left, we're looking at time elements. And then over to the right, we've already pulled in a few columns of data, like our current budget, some cost information, a forecast. It's all in terms that people can understand. And so now, for example, if we wanted to, right now we're looking at a yearly graph here. If we wanted to do this by quarter, very intuitive. I just click on the quarter over on the left, drag that into the graph, drop it off, and I'm done. And now I've got that same type of information but split out by quarter. All of my charts get updated automatically, in this case, with just a simple drag and drop process. Okay, so anybody can do this. I guarantee you, anybody in the room today, if you were able to log into this meeting, you have the technical expertise to run this product. Now, let's talk about the reports themselves. This is a typical example of one of our customer reports, looking at how are we doing on projects over time, from 1 week to the last. You can see if you look down in the lower right, there's this report's 159 pages long. This report is sent out every week. So imagine getting this report every week, 159 pages, and trying to figure out kind of what's important to me. What do I really need to look at? Are there any issues in here? I'm certainly not going to read all 159 pages. So our goal is to give you the ability to visualize the data and through conditional formatting, through drill downs, through live interaction with the data, turn that 159-page report. Perhaps it's still 159 pages for the detail, but up front, maybe we want to be able to look at trends. We want to be able to highlight things by color to let us know things that might be in trouble or things that need attention. And then we can drill down, and if we ultimately need to get into all 159 pages, we can do that. Okay, but chances are we can set up conditions such that really the important things in that report show up on page 1, and I can see what's important right away without having to spend a lot of time going through a lot of detail. All right, so hopefully that sets the stage in terms of why did we build Lasso, what problems are we trying to solve, and how we're positioning this tool. And what we're going to do now is jump into the live product and take a look at how it actually works. So to do that, we are going to I'm going to turn it over to Tim Moore. Tim Moore is a senior product manager with Hard Dollar and had a lot of experience in this industry. And he has been the primary leader of this product and getting it going from the ground up. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Tim Moore.
Great. Well, thanks, Brad. Thanks, Ron. I do appreciate it, and all the attendees as well. Thank you for your time. I want to encourage everyone to visit lassopi.com to learn even more about the product and what we have to offer. Should you be interested in learning more about that, please click on the Contact Us and request info form. We encourage everyone to fill that out, and we will be contacting you so that we can get you involved with your own Lasso PI account. So let's go ahead and jump into the product and talk a little more about that itself. Upon logging in, I'll go ahead and log in as Mr. Brad Barth. You'll be presented with a very easy Get Started page. Now, again, we've spent a lot of time to make sure that getting started with Lasso PI is very intuitive. 3-step process: download Lasso Connect, which will connect your local data source up to the lassopi.com website. Invite your entire project team, both internal and external project members, as well as create what we refer to as project portfolios. Let's go ahead and jump directly into our dashboards by virtue of utilizing the navigation bar at the top left. we have a Getting Started page, a Dashboards page, Designer, and a Marketplace page. Given the proper access and roles, each user is presented with those things that they can do within Lasso PI. If we look at the dashboards themselves, on the far left at the top is your account name itself. This is your company. You own this account. You have full access over how to construct portfolios underneath your account. Right now, I actually have two portfolios. I have an all projects portfolio, and I have an executives portfolio. Portfolios are set up to control access not only for specific members, but members' roles, the dashboards that are presented, and the number of projects that actually are populated and appear within each report and dashboard. Let's go ahead and look at forecast summary and jump right into one of our dashboards. Very intuitive, very user-friendly interface. We spent a lot of time making sure the usability of Lasso PI was spot on for even the novice user. When I open up my dashboard to the forecast summary, I'm presented with a nice bar graph. I can see my original budget, my current budget, forecasted, cost earned, and as-built costs. But let's go ahead and jump in and drill right into our current budget. I want to really understand the data that's behind these graphs and charts. And with Lasso PI, an interactive dashboard provides that type of functionality. In general, the entire application is built for you to control access to the system itself. So let's look at the portfolio itself. Portfolios can be created by simply selecting New, Portfolio, and we'll go ahead and add a new portfolio. You can invite members into your portfolio by simply clicking the Invite New Member, adding their name, their email, a brief message, and setting their role. We have 4 major roles within each portfolio. You can be an administrator, which has full control over the entire account. You can be a manager, which has the capabilities of setting up new portfolios and inviting members. You could be a contributor that has access to contribute to the portfolio, dashboards, and reports. Or you could be listed simply as a consumer that has the ability to enter a portfolio and literally consume and view the information that is presented to that user. You could select from a stored set of users, add them as current members, and in doing so, they in turn will receive an email invitation, which we will show you here in a second. You can also select per portfolio the number of dashboards that you would like to surface or display within the portfolio to your end users. This gives you complete control over being able to manage dashboards across portfolios, but also to give access to those dashboards only to those individuals, internal or external to your company, that you would like them to see. You also have the capability to look at multiple projects within a given dashboard. We'll talk more about this in a second, but the ability to actually look at historic projects compared to current projects is a big feature of Lasso PI. I can take all the data from multiple projects and display it in an interactive dashboard within each portfolio. But the beauty about the portfolios is the ability to actually schedule when the data is updated. Do I want to update my data on a daily basis? Maybe I want to update it on a weekly basis, or I only need to update this portfolio on a monthly basis. As Ron talked about earlier, having access to your data in a timely manner is crucial for project controls and understanding where costs and productivity occur within your project. How easy is it to actually create a report? Let's go ahead and jump into our designer. Again, given the proper access rights to Lasso PI, individual members have the ability to literally create their own reports and surface them within the portfolios. We have spent a tremendous amount of time as we've constructed Lasso PI to make sure that the data that is presented to each and every user is highly structured and available in a meaningful way. So let's look at our current budget, and we want to take that next to our original budget. So simply double-clicking on our current budget, we'll add that summation to our report. As well, selecting our original budget provides us the ability to look at those two cost variables next to each other on the two columns. But I'd like to slice that data by project. So if I enter the project code, you'll immediately see that all of the projects that are associated with that portfolio appear on the left-hand column. But let's go ahead and make this look a little more attractive. We'll go ahead and add a nice column chart to our report. And that's simple. Drag, drop, and done. I've created my first report. Should you want to change your report layout? No problem. Click on Chart Properties. You can edit, and you can select from a multitude of chart types, whether it's bar, waterfalls, donuts, pies. You could select how the information is presented to the users. That's simple. You can also go into pixel perfect mode should you want to more strategically and place your variables and your labels and your columns, should that be something that you would like to do. Drag, drop, and done. Very simple, very intuitive. Once those reports have been created, you can surface those within the dashboard themselves. Let's look at our project pipeline. I can also expand to get full access to that dashboard. If I want to just look at the projects that are bidding, I can click on my pie shape in the bidding and see just those projects in the pipeline that are currently bidding, that we're currently bidding on. What if we want to look at man hours? We can construct any number of reports and dashboards to be surfaced. But the beauty about Lasso PI is not only that you can interact with your data, but you also can export and schedule this data to be sent to you on a daily scheduled event. I can export this data as a CSV or as an Excel spreadsheet. I can export it as a PDF file, or I can export it to a PowerPoint in case I want to present this information to my executives. I can also schedule this report to be sent to me in any one of the flavors, PDF, Excel, CSV, on a scheduled event. Maybe every morning I want to see this report sent to me on my mobile device. Maybe I only require it to be sent to me weekly, or again, on a monthly basis. That's the power of Lasso PI. Now, it's a simple, intuitive process to invite members, as I explained earlier. And once a member is invited, they would, entering my email, I would simply just see an invitation to Lasso, whereby I could simply click the accept invitation and automatically be assigned to the portfolio that my manager has invited me into. Complete control over all project members at the portfolio level is what gives Lasso PI the power for questions at this time. I'm going to turn it back over to Brad Barth.
Tim, before we take questions from the audience, I know one of the questions that I want to make sure we answer probably on people's minds. If we can go back into the designer, let's just take a look. I want to show folks the unified cost control warehouse and what's in that data model, we kind of glance over that in terms of, well, there's a data model set up already. When I mentioned that we've been working on this product for about 2 years, probably, I don't know, 60–70% of that time roughly was spent on the data model itself. So as you look over at the left side of the screen here, this relational data model is a huge part of the application. So this is where that, the ability to start using this right away compared to all of that setup time that we talked about with the typical BI tool. All of this stuff, when you look at the different types of costs here, equipment hours, quantities, man hours, and forecast values, and as we scroll down, you see further values in here that are already set up, all based on current budget, original budget, actuals. So all of this stuff is set up already, and it's all tied together. So the relationship between a project and account codes and items and resources has all been defined already. And then if we open up the attributes here, this is where, again, how do people typically want to slice and dice this stuff? Well, we've got all that set up for you. We want to look at it by time, and we want to be able to drill down. So, the system knows that a year is made up of months, and months are made up of weeks, and weeks are made up of days. So you can easily drill down through that granularity, as well as I mentioned, we want to look at things at the project level, or maybe down at the, if we expand project there, we can see we can take things in different directions. Maybe we want to look at things by date or by code in terms of projects where they're located. So all of that. The main thing I just wanted to point out was, there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into creating that data model itself, and that's the secret sauce, as Ron calls it, to, it's one thing to have a report designer that's easy to use, but if the data model itself is not intuitive and the relationships are not set up properly, then that report designer is going to fall flat on its face. So we spent a ton of time on that to make sure that, as I mentioned, anybody on the meeting today can jump right into this and start using it.
Okay.
So with that, back to Stephanie, and we'll take some questions.
Okay. So the first question is there any integration with Primavera P6?
So the question was, is there any integration with Primavera P6? So let me answer that in two ways. If you're using the hard dollar project cost management application, it is integrated with Primavera P6. So that information does flow into Lasso through the hard dollar connector. If you strictly want to go directly from Primavera into Lasso, we are currently working on a Primavera connector that will pump the data from Primavera directly into this data model that Tim is navigating through over on the left. So again, short answer: if you're using hard dollar already for estimating project management, yes, the Primavera data comes in through that. In the near future, we will have completed our direct connection to Primavera, so you can point Lasso right to your Primavera database.
Okay. Next question, will this be available via the web?
Yeah, so Lasso, the question was, will this be available via the web? So Lasso was really built out of the box to be a cloud-based solution. So you can get to it, run it from the web. All you need is a web browser to get in and create reports and view reports and dashboards. Now, currently, to sign up for Lasso, if you fill out that contact form that Tim showed you at lassopi.com, we'll get in touch with you and get to the point where we can set up an account for you. So creating a new account and signing up for a new account is currently a process that is done through Hard Dollar. We will be making that more of an automated process as we go wide with this tool and allow people to put in a credit card, create their own account, and get running. So that'll get a little bit easier. Right now, it's a manual process.
Okay. Next question. In many industries, cybersecurity has become a major focus. Can you please discuss how you address security on the cloud and on data connections to other sources?
Yes, we certainly can. First and foremost, when we make a connection to your local data source, everything is connected via SSL, Secured Socket Layer, directly from your local server up to the Lasso PI framework. We also run underneath HTTPS for all access in and out of the system. We are as equally concerned about security, and we've built that into the product. So only your data gets synchronized to your account on your space at lassopi.com.
Okay. The next question is, can you create your own measures?
Yes, you can. So great question. You can actually go in and create measures based upon existing measures, or you could create new measures in totality. So if we wanted to, we could come in and create a new measure and name it, give it a format and an expression. Or we can also go in to each and every measure that exists, and we can change that measure or expression simply by typing in standard arithmetic controls, looking at our expression builder, and I'll go ahead and look at the current budget minus the original budget. I'll save that, and that's simple. I've just created my own custom measure, which is my original budget minus, excuse me, my current budget minus my original budget. Okay?
Okay. Next question, what is the cost for this product?
So the question around pricing, think of the pricing model for Lasso as very similar to a cell phone subscription. What we wanted to do was to not, let me first tell you what we wanted not to do. We didn't want to tie it to the number of users. We didn't want to make it complicated. So what you will find is that Lasso pricing is based really on usage. So overall usage, whether it's one person or 20 people or 1,000 people, the pricing is really based on the level of data, the level of information that's in the tool being reported on. So the pricing starts at $300 a month on the low end. So for small projects or even small companies looking across a number of small projects, that $300 a month level is going to be fine for many small companies. And then there's 3 other levels from there going up to basically $166,000 per year. So if you think of the range, just to give folks kind of a bracket, it goes from about $3,600 per year on the low end to over $160,000 per year on the high end at an enterprise level, where a large company needs to look across lots of large projects or a tremendous amount of, let's say, small or medium projects. So those levels, one of the nice things about a cloud-based solution is that you can start with it. It's billed quarterly, so it's very easy to get started. And remember, those numbers include all the hardware and the hosting, and not only the software, but all the hardware and hosting as well. So for those numbers, you're getting everything. It's monitored, it's backed up, the internet access and everything is all provided. And again, you can start small. You might choose to start with this on a single project at that lowest level, prove it out, and then grow from there. So it's very easy to get started with and go through kind of a proof of concept at the low level before you do a massive rollout.
Okay. How long does it take to implement?
Well, as we said in the beginning, we hope to get you started in a very simple, intuitive way. So literally, when we set up an account for you at Lasso PI, we will invite an account administrator access to Lasso PI. Immediately following that invitation, they would be presented with the ability to download the Lasso Connect application to tie their local data source to Lasso PI. And in doing so, they would immediately synchronize their data with Lasso and be ready to start building reports, surfacing dashboards, and inviting new members immediately. So we've made it very simple to get started.
Okay. Can we directly import the Excel file that is a bill of quantity for a construction project and evaluate in Lasso PI? If so, could you please demonstrate?
So as Brad indicated earlier, we will have a multitude of connectors that will be available. Let's go real quick to see what that looks like. In our marketplace, we will have the ability to actually have additional connectors, as well as templated dashboards that you can simply search, retrieve, and add to your portfolio. One of the connectors that we will be building is the Excel connector, which allows you the access to connect local CSV or Excel files directly into the UCCW model. One of the things that we will be asking customers to do is to provide us feedback in terms of what connectors they find viable for us to work on immediately, and those that we will put in our roadmap. Excel is one of the connectors that we are currently working on, and we'll be offering in the next few months to customers that sign up for Lasso PI.
Okay. Next question, if you need to produce a detailed report, more of a column and lines of data type of report, can you drill down and get into that level of detail?
Absolutely. So with Lasso PI, you can have both interactive dashboards and you can have traditional spreadsheet type of data and information presented. So as you'll see here on my screen, I'm looking at my man-hours movement report, which is a typical type of spreadsheet report. But let's talk a little bit about the power of Lasso PI. Not only are we showing the report in a static format, but again, we can export this to Excel if we wanted to do that, or we can use our prompts to select dates that we want to filter the information by, and or we can actually drill directly into one of our projects to obtain just the information that we want at that time, and then produce the report, again, either as a PDF file, exported as Excel, or literally just have the information available to us on our mobile device or within our web browser, as you see here. So yes, complete control over standard reports is available, as well as the ability to look at that information page by page. Thank you.
How do we get a test account to test it when you get the connector in the cloud?
Right. So again, going back to the simplicity of getting people involved, when you access Lasso PI for the first time, we will actually ship with over 20+ reports and dashboards out of the box, as well as ship with some sample data. The data that I'm showing you right now will be available to you. So immediately on signing up, you will have the ability to go in and navigate Lasso PI and start building and experimenting with reports and dashboards. As soon as you're ready to connect your local data source, again, go back to Get Started, download Lasso Connect, and pump your data into the cloud.
And just to add to that, so if you're interested in doing that, again, go to lassopi.com, go to the Contact Us, fill out that form, and that'll initiate that dialogue with us to get you set up with an account so that you can try the tool.
Can you geocode from fields other than project information fields such as state?
Yes, you can. So in Designer, one of the charts that we have is a geo map, and the geo map can be set to slice and dice on any of our attributes. So if we wanted to look at project either by location, by city, you do have the capability to add that and add as well a geo map that allows you to set up how you want to display the chart information. So if I wanted to look at this geo map and I want to map it to city as a category, I can do so or as a series. I can change color, and I can set up this geomap however I would like it to be set up, so that when I navigate into this dashboard, based upon my settings, that's how the geomap would be set up.
And just to add a little bit to that, I think I picked up on the question a little bit in terms of can we use other attributes aside from just what we had in the data model. One of the things you're not seeing there is user-defined fields and tags. And so if you want to track geospatial attributes, latitude, longitude, those sort of things to bring in with your project information. So in addition to project location or project city, for example, you could use some of those fields to represent, for example, a latitude and a longitude, and then use that in your geomaps.
Yeah. Okay. Good point. Thank you, Brad.
Are there KPI flags included?
There are a number of conditional formats that you can set on your data itself. So you can set a condition for a given column or field when a KPI is met. The nice thing about that is when you receive your reports and dashboards via your mobile devices, you could see whether that data has changed or not, or has met a KPI that you have indicated in the conditional formatting here. So the ability to surface, if you will, KPI data does exist within the report builder.
Okay. Is Lasso only cloud-based, or can it be hosted within our corporate network?
Yeah, great question. So one of the things we did learn early on was that while most of the companies and people we've talked to want to run from the cloud, they recognize the benefit of doing that and how easy it is to get going. There were others, due to IT standards or in some cases even contractual obligations, they're not allowed to run in the cloud. So we did build Lasso from the beginning to support both a cloud deployment as well as a behind-the-firewall on-premise deployment. And out of the gate, we are offering the cloud product today. We are finalizing the packaging of the on-premise solution, and we expect that in the next 60 to 90 days. For those that want to run on-premise, you will be able to do that. And as I said, it's really the same application. All the functionality that we've shown you looks the same. And like I said, the only reason we're doing the cloud first is that A, that's the majority of the market that we've seen so far wants to run that way, and B, we are finalizing, as I said, install programs and packaging and installation guides. Obviously, if you're going to run it on premise, you've got to provide the hardware, you've got to get it installed and set up. So if that is the mode you want to run in, we do have some customers right now that are kind of, they know that's where they want to end up, but they're sort of piloting it right now in the cloud at the low end, just to start getting familiar with it and start getting some value out of it on the cloud before they move over to on-premise.
Okay. We'll take one more question. We're getting close on time here, so if you have any additional questions, please go to lassopi.com and click on that Contact Us, and we'll definitely reach out to you. We'll also have the webinar recording available to everyone that attended today, and like Tim showed you earlier on Lasso PI, there's even that user guide, so you guys will have, and I believe there's FAQs up there. Is that correct?
We can provide a full FAQ document to you if you're interested in that as well.
Okay, so the last question before we wrap up today is, can you demonstrate a monthly cash flow for an estimate and how that monthly cash flow is exported to Excel? It kind of reviews a little bit of what we've done, but
yeah. So let's do a simple example real quick. So if we go into the designer, are we still in? Oh, there we go. Yeah. So what we'll do, the question I believe was a monthly cash flow. So let's take if we go into current estimate. So Tim will go into the UCCW over on the left. Take our current estimate, and then we want to look at a cost over time. So the attribute that we want now is time. So we'll go down and pull in the attribute down below of time. And this is where we can decide, do we want to look at it by year, by month? Let's look at it by month of year. Or, yeah, there's different types of months. We can do month of year, month. Actually, let's do, I'm sorry, Tim, I pointed you in the wrong direction. That'll show us the values in each month, regardless of the year. Let's do month number. This will give us a year-month construct, and then we can sort. So you can see as he clicked on that, it put that column in there. Now we'll sort by that column to do it in month order. And then at this point, you know, now we have our months, we have our estimated values there, and then all we got to do now is turn that into a line graph. Now, at this point, we're looking at it, we're looking across all projects, and we're looking at it non-cumulatively. And you can see there, you know, we start in 2010, month 12, into 2012, month 8, all the way out to the far right, 2014, month 8. You can change the formatting of those dates and things like that. But you've got the table down below, you've got the graph up above, and now you could, you know, that's the basics of it, but now we could add other lines on that graph, maybe resource utilization. Maybe we want to look at it cumulatively instead of incrementally. Maybe we want to look at it as a bar chart instead of a line graph. All of that's possible. And then up in the top right is your Excel icon. So I believe the last part of the question was how do we send that out to Excel? And that's just a matter of clicking on that Excel icon up in the top right.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, we want to thank all of you for joining us today for the launch of Lasso Project Intelligence. I'm sorry. If you do have further questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Again, we'll have the recording available for everyone that registered for the webinar today. And we thank you again for coming. Have a good day.